Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beckett. I'm going to do my weekly reading update for November 13th, 2022. So this week was a fine week. It was okay. It was kind of cold here. Not too bad. I mean, it's starting towards the winter. It's not really fall weather. It feels more winter weather. I'm like, no, too cold. Anyway, but it's fine. Well, anyway, not much else. Nothing really happened this week. It was just kind of a normal, I had to work all 5 days of work, so that kind of sucked after having a day off last week and having another week, getting the whole week off. So I'm like kind of in that I want to go on vacation mode. My writing is on track. I am almost 4 days ahead. I mean, well, today right now I'm only 3 days ahead or a little under 3 days ahead because I haven't written today yet. But when I do for NaNoWriMo, I will probably do that this afternoon. I'm finding very strangely this time around, I don't like to write in the mornings. I very much want to write when I get home from work during the week. So, because that is what I have to do during the week. And then on the weekends, I don't want to write either until it's about 4 or 5 at night for some reason. So I'm just following the same time. So, but I got ahead last week. I'm still a little ahead. As I said, I'm at least, once I write today, I will be almost 4 days ahead. So, which is good. So if I just keep going and plugging away, that's all. I kind of want to finish early next week, but I'm probably not going to do that now that I just want to keep going. As I said, I'm going to just try to keep writing every day. So it's just been fun. It's definitely nothing. I'm not keeping to one idea. Almost every other day I'm changing. Like I'll write for a couple days on one idea and then I will change and I'll get to a point where I don't want to stop and think about stuff and I will switch. So I'm not doing NaNoWriMo in the way I normally used to do it, but this year, and I think I did the same thing last year, is I'm just trying to get back into the mode of writing. And since really this last year, because of work, I did not write at all. This is all very much everybody coming back to me. So anyway, that was my kind of writing update. So just in case you were curious. But I did read a lot because work was really boring this week. I mean, I worked and I did stuff. It was a lot of computer stuff. I got stuff done there. So I listened to audiobooks almost all week. And as I said, I go through phases with, I didn't listen to an audiobook for almost 2 months, or, not very many. And then all of a sudden I've gotten back into them. And I think part of it is because it's nonfiction November. So my primary way of doing nonfiction is by audio. And then also I am rereading the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh. So I'm getting them from the library on audio and kind of intermixing them. So I did finish 7 things this week. 3 of them were rereads and the other ones were not. A lot of them were nonfiction, so I'm doing pretty good on that. I did officially DNF The Animals of Lockwood Manor by Jane Healy. I tried and I tried again. And so I got just over halfway and I just couldn't do it anymore. So this is about World War II, or yeah, the beginning of World War II, where Hetty goes with a lot of museum artifacts from London to this Lockwood Manor to store these, taxidermy and other kind of things that shows the natural history museum kind of stuff. So she's there and she's trying to keep everything in order, but she's dealing with somebody else's house, somebody else's staff, and she's kind of feeling isolated and stuff. Now, the problem with this one is that it talks about it's supposed to get kind of spooky, and it's so light and not much happens. And I did like the 2 perspectives of the 2 women in this. We're following Hetty, and then we're also getting Lucy, who is the daughter of the owner of Lockwood Manor. So, who is a major in, I think, the army or something. So they're we get, she's more socialite than Hetty is very much, just trying to make it by on her job and stuff, and they're both in their 30s. And I mean, there's supposed to be some kind of connection, and it was just so slow. So little is happening. There is kind of this ghostly element, but it's so light and it's just not enough. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't want to hear about, or the I don't know, it just kind of got kind of dramatic about certain things in Lucy's life from her past and things that happened. It just didn't hold my attention. And I read a little bit more this week and I just went, no, I don't want to pick this up. And so it's unfortunate, but I am DNFing that book. So that was the only thing I did about midweek. I DNF'd that one. I did take back the last Darcy Coates book I had, the Haunting of Ashburn House. I just decided that I read 6 of her books last month and I just didn't have it in me to read another one right now. So I will probably wait a few months and then maybe I'll read more of her books. I really like Darcy Coates. I just took I went to the library yesterday with my brother. So I just took the book back. I didn't keep it for this. So anyway, it's not a book I DNF forever. It's more of I just don't feel like the spooky haunted house thing right now just because I read so much last month. So I will come back to that book because I really like Darcy Coates and I'm really enjoying going through her books. I think I read too many in 1 month. So, so the first thing I think I finished this on Sunday was Archangels Blade by Nalini Singh. This is, again, a reread. This is book number 4 in the Guild Hunter series. So this is an urban fantasy paranormal romance series where we're following angels, demons, no, wrong one. Angels, archangels, and vampires, and also then the humans who are part of the Guild Hunter, are Guild Hunters, who are the ones who are sent to go after the vamps that tried to run away from their contracts from the angels. So we are following one of the top vampires in North America, which is Dimitri, and it's his story with a Guild Hunter named Honor. And this is one of my favorites of the series, so I was really excited to get back and read this. I think I started this last week. Anyway, I think I finished it on Sunday, and again, I think I listened to this on audio. Yeah, I listened to this on audio. So this is, again, I think all the ones I did this week were all on audio. So anyway, I really enjoyed this one. The audios are all done by Justine Iyer. So I think I listened to that quite a bit that day, but it was like a reread. So it was just, I just needed it. And I'm really enjoying coming back to that series and reading the earlier books. I have to go back and look at my notes on my spreadsheets because I don't remember the last time I reread a lot of the series. I read the last 3 or 4 because there's 15 books in the series. The 15th book just came out last month, which I read, Archangels Resurrection. But I don't remember the last time I read the earlier books. So I'm going to go back. It's been at least 2 or 3 years, I think. But I'm going to double check on that. It might only be a couple. It might just be, I don't think I did that last year. So I don't know. I'm going to find out. I haven't figured that out. The next book I picked up was The Dark King by Gina L. Maxwell. So this is a book I picked up in October. It was one of those ones I kind of picked up on a whim when at Barnes & Noble because our Barnes & Noble got they moved and then reopened a new store. So I'd gone in there for a couple other books and then I went back a couple weeks later and bought a couple more books. So I might be going to Barnes & Noble a little bit more now that they're back in the area. But this one I picked up kind of on a whim. I'd heard about it somewhere. I can't even think who I saw. I don't even remember seeing anybody actually read it, but I'd seen the copy before. And it's fae, well, not quite mafia. It's like a fae romance, but it's, it's in present day Vegas, and they're following fae who have grown up in the human world, who have been exiled from the Fae world. And there's the Dark King and the Light Fae King. And the main character, Bryn, she gets an invitation to come to this hotel that is owned by the Dark King, who is, his name is, Caden, I think is how it's said. He and his family own this, this hotel casino in Vegas, and they're kind of that's how they rule. They're kind of make their money kind of thing. And so she gets an invitation for a free weekend. And so she's down on her luck. She just lost her job. She's not sure what she's going to do yet, but she says, I'm just going to take this free vacation and just, have some fun. So she gets there and she's just excited to be there. And she has, she sees Kaden from across the way in the lobby when she comes in, and there's like an instant attraction, but again, they don't talk, they just go on. She gets kind of pampered for her weekend thing, and later he comes down and finds her, and things kind of escalate because the next day they wake up and they don't recall what happened except that they'd hung out for a little bit, and they're married. And this has major consequences in the world of the Fae because she is human and he is not. Now there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. There's a lot of things that build up to the end of this book, and I really liked this for the most part. I didn't like the miscommunication in this book. Really pissed me off. There are things that happened right after the whole marriage thing that I would have been like, boom, 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 do this. This is what you first do. Then it would have taken out half of this timeline in this book because it would have been, it makes sense. So I have issues with, that doesn't make sense timeline wise, why you would wait so long to do or ask this question. This makes no sense. I didn't like the way he asked her the questions either, but that's just, you know, that's my own opinion. But it does have a little BDSM, a little bit on that side. The sex scenes were pretty good for that if you lean towards that. I liked Bryn and I liked Kaden overall, but again, I had issues with their miscommunications, mostly on his side, because I just wanted him to ask the right question and he never does. And it's like, dude, I would have been asking like, da-da-da-da, like how, I don't want to give away why I would do that. But the point is that I just think it's so stupid that some weeks go by and I'm like, why? Anyway, so I had issues with this. This is not a great, to me, it was the first book I've read by this author. This is a series. But this is actually one series I am not sure I want to continue. Not because this was bad enough that I don't want to continue the book. I didn't like the way the very epilogue happened and what the next book is going to do. I was pissed. I was actually really mad that it's going to be, I mean, not the love story part of it that's going to be in that one, but the setup for the book will be. I was angry. I'm like, we just went through this whole book for all the stuff that happened here, and then that's going to happen? I was so upset, and I'm just like, okay, no. So the next book doesn't come out until next year. I think June or July or something. I don't know. It matters how I feel at the time. If I'm thinking about this right now, I think it's just going to be one of those ones where I like the first book and I'm not continuing. And you guys have to know that as a series reader, that is very unusual for me to say I'm probably not going to read the next book. And again, it's not that this was horrible, and it's not that I don't think that other people will enjoy it. I think there's a lot to enjoy in here. It's just, it pushed certain buttons on me that I'm like, just frustrated me on the miscommunication. And then I hated the end. Like, I hated how it ended and what was going to happen next. So I don't know, but that, just take that with a grain of salt. That's kind of how I felt about that. I then also listened to Archangels Flight by Nalini Singh. This is the 4 novellas in the series. 3 of them take place before the Guild Hunter series actually starts, and then one of them takes place after book 3. So I read this this actually was published, I believe, after this one. I think, I can't remember how I did that. It was either published right before this one or after this one. But the book in here actually comes before this one, but it wasn't a big deal. They don't have an issue. Anyways, the point is that I really enjoyed listening to those novellas because they follow characters that are not primary to, well, the first one is important for a later book, book 7. So that was good. I liked the very last one, which is the longest novella, was giving us a story of 2 characters that we've met in the other books, or, in the books so far, but we didn't know a lot about them. So that was really good. The other 2 were, well, they're also characters that they've met kind of sort of, anyway, they're all just good. Okay. Let's just be honest. I'm loving my rereading. And again, I don't like short stories very much, but novellas in Nalini Singh's world, I will read those. Those are awesome. I just love them. And then I also was reading more. So here's my nonfiction of the week. I did No One Tells You This by Glynis McNichol. So this I listened to on audio by Allison Ryan, which was really well done. I was surprised that it wasn't the author who narrated, but that was, you know, that's fine with for memoirs. Not everybody has a good voice to do that. So this I kind of went into it with the kind of the wrong expectation, except it still circled to it. It's just the first half of this book was really good to me, and then the last half was just kind of it was okay. So this is talking about Glynis when she just turned 40, and it was kind of how she dealt with her 40th birthday in her mind, kind of finding, you know, realizing that at this point she's had some really recent bad romances or, you know, relationships, and so she's at this point single. She's still childless, and she doesn't think she's going to have kids, and so, like, she's not, that wasn't one of her priority kind of things. But I mean, she's, you know, at that age where people are still saying, oh, well, you have time. And she's like, I'm 40, you know, we're running out here. And so it's her dealing with that. And then the part I didn't quite get, I guess I didn't really quite get that from the back, but I probably didn't read it deep enough, was that her, it's also dealing with her mother's illness and how that affected her life, you know, how things that were happening with them, her, becoming worse and worse, and having to deal with getting her into a nursing home to take care of her, you know, 24/7. So there was a lot of that. There's a lot of cool things about her traveling. She is, you know, she was a writer. She, living in New York, she's Canadian. So we got some stuff from Canada. We got Canada, my brain, Canada. And then she got to go, you know, travel. She did, I think she went to, France at one point, and then also she went to Wyoming. I think it was Wyoming. She did a cross-country road trip. So there was like some interesting, and she talked about a lot of her friends and how their different decisions were different from hers, you know, because a lot of them were married and a lot of them had kids, and not all of them did. Some of them were just, you know, that were, you know, just getting married at around the 40 mark. So it was interesting to see. It was, again, it's another relationship book. I kind of made it a theme this year to get through all these books that I bought a couple years ago, which I meant to like read all them. This one I bought, this is the most recent I bought. I bought this year. So I did enjoy this. It's just, again, by the end of the book, the last half was more of her discovering her place in the world, which is good. I still think it's good. It's not, I didn't get quite as emotional, or the stuff that she was talking about in the first part of the book I more related to. I don't live in New York. I don't want to, and I also don't want to live on she went and stayed at a dude ranch for a little while, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that either. You know, it's like, the things just didn't connect to me. But a lot of her stuff that talks about how people perceive or talk about when they find out how old you are and you don't have kids or you're not married, and then the questions that come up. So again, it was a lot. It did have a lot of the stuff that I wanted to read about. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't, but overall, it was a really good book. I think, I still think it was a really good memoir. I think it was just a lot sadder than I thought at certain points. And so I don't think she has any, like, there's nothing traumatic. Like, again, it really is talking just mostly about her living her life and acknowledging that she's living her life and enjoying it. And maybe it's not all, you know, it's not all great, but she's still doing the things that she wants to do, but she's also taking care of her family, and, you know, she has that connection to them, and she has lots of friends and stuff. So it's like, I don't know how to explain that, but I think it was just an interesting journey. So, I can't remember what I used this one for. I think I used this one for Secret, or did I use this for Record? I don't know. It was one of their drops. I don't remember now what I used it for, but I did enjoy that, and I'm glad I got to that. And then I got a book from the library that I also got listened to it on audio, but this is one I've been wanting to read for several years. And that is Selfish, Shallow, and Self-Absorbed, 16 Writers on the Decision Not to Have Kids. This was edited, and the introduction is by Megan Daum. So this one was really interesting. I didn't know most of these authors. I still don't know who most of them are. A lot of them are, well, it's a kind of combination between fiction and nonfiction. There's only a few that I recognized. I think there's like 2 or 3 that I knew. I knew Lionel Shriver and Sigrid Nuez. I think those are the only 2 I knew. Everybody else, I don't know who these writers are. They're just not in anything that I read. But all the stories were really interesting. I even made little notes to myself on each one, so I know which ones were the good ones. So most of them I said were good. There was a couple ones I didn't really care about. It really is interesting how all of them approached writing the essay on why they don't have kids. Now, some of them did have points in their lives where they wanted to have kids, and it just either was not physically possible, or they just weren't in relationships and they didn't want to have them for that reason, or they waited too long. So there are some that it's not that they decided not to go on and adopt or have, you know, or go through processes to have kids. It's just, it's not exactly that they like never wanted to have kids. It's just in the end, it just turned out that they didn't. The most interesting one was the Sigrid Nuez one. I think that one, she used a lot of history stuff in there with Virginia Woolf and Plath, and I thought was Sylvia Plath, and I thought that was really an interesting writing about with her, what she talked about in hers. And again, as I said, a lot of them were just really good, and some are heartbreaking stories of reasons why, because of their childhoods and things that happened to them, and why they were not going to have kids because of how their parents were or something. So this was narrated on audio. There was 13 of them were female and 3 were male. So Joanna Perrin did most of it, and then Johnny Heller did the 3 that were the men. So, and the guys were an interesting one because they had the women, again, some were straight and some were gay. And so it was like one of those things. And then the guys one was gay and then 2 were straight, but one was like, I would say almost asexual because he just didn't want to do anything or have anything to do with romance at all. Like, or he wasn't interested in relationships that way. So it was really interesting. I think this was a really good collection overall. I don't like essay collections very often. I admit it, I'm just not into them. But I thought this was really a good one for continuing my theme to get through the books that I have on relationships and the coming to terms with, because again, I'm a person who's in my 40s. I did not have kids. I am not married, and I'm definitely not going to have kids at this age. So it was just interesting to read other people's reasonings for stuff. Again, everybody has different experiences. They all have their own reasons, and you know, I agree with that. So I thought it was just a very interesting book, and I'm glad I finally got to this, because I think I checked this out last year to read and I didn't read it. I didn't get to it, but I did like that, and I got through that, and I really got some stuff out of it. I really thought it was interesting because it wasn't, they were all different. I thought they were all interesting and different. It may not be exactly what the tin says, where they decide their decision not to have it might always not be their, like, it wasn't quite always all their, like, their decisions. Like, they were, but they weren't. Like, it wasn't, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that, but it just, I still think it was pretty good. And then I also finished on, did I finish this Friday? Yeah, I finished this Friday. Is Notes on a Foreign Country, An American Abroad in the Post-American World by Susie Hansen. So I bought this, I think last year, or the year before. I'd heard about it. I think it was somehow, I saw it somehow connected when I read a book on Rick Steves. He was talking about different countries and stuff, and how people need to be more mindful of not just being an American and being rude and everything when you're overseas. And then I think somehow it mentioned this book, or I found it at that time. Anyway, so I've had this for at least 2 years, I think. I might have bought it last year, but it was on my radar. Well, anyway, so I finally got to it. I also checked out the library audiobook by Kristen Potter, which was really well done. So Susie Hansen is a journalist who grew up in New Jersey, and then she worked for a New York magazine or something. I'm sure she did something for that, and she won some fellowship that allowed her to go to Turkey to be there for a couple of years on this fellowship program. So she did that. She was entranced by Turkey because she had read stuff earlier about James Baldwin and how he had gone there, I think in the 60s and stuff. So I don't know anything about that, because I don't know anything about James Baldwin. And it did make me want to kind of revisit, because I did try to read Giovanni's Room last year, and I didn't, at the time, I just wasn't feeling it. So I might try again to get to one of his books. But I think he wrote Another Country while he was there, wrote part of it. So anyway, that'd be kind of interesting. I don't know anything about Another Country by James Baldwin, so I'll have to look into that, or read, or maybe find a book on James Baldwin in Turkey. I don't know. It was interesting. That was in there too. But she kind of took this leap of faith to do this. And it's really, this book is confronting how, I would say as an American, that you have certain ideals of what your world is like, or what America is like, and what you think other countries are like. And really, you don't think about the perception of what, by you thinking this thing, other people are going to think these other things about you, and you're not connecting with what something maybe your government's doing that you didn't have anything to do with, but you're not, your perception is kind of this straight and narrow of things good and bad. And really there's all these shades of gray of things that have happened in the past that have affected so many people over in that part of the world. And so she talked mostly about Turkey, because that's where she was for, I think she was almost there 10 years of some sort of that. And then she traveled to Greece a couple times, and she went to Egypt as well, and Afghanistan for a certain trip that she did there. All that was really interesting, the different places and the different perceptions of Americans in those places. I think it was really eye-opening. I mean, it's not something I don't think, the average person is going to sit there and think, oh, well, those people all hate me for really good reasons because of certain things our governments have done over the years. Or we think our way is always the best way, when it really is not. It's just, this is the way we've done it, and it works for us here, but it's not going to work for over there. And again, it's a very interesting book. It brings up a lot of questions. I think it was really well done that way. I'm sure that's why it was a Pulitzer Prize finalist. It was really well done. I come away from this, again, I want to read other books on certain things that happened over there, and certain even things that just happened in their history in Turkey and in Greece, and Egypt and Afghanistan. There's like certain things that made me want to learn a little bit more about of other countries and stuff. Again, I'm trying to be worldly here, but again, it was interesting to be kind of hit over the side of the head with the fact is we don't really know why we're perceived certain ways, because we don't open our eyes to what other people are thinking. And sometimes they're thinking, they have myths of their own of what America is like too. So there's these misconceptions on both sides, and it's just so interesting. I think I just want to explore a little bit more of this. If you guys know anything that's kind of like that, let me know. I found this really fascinating. The Rick Steves book was also very good, which of course I can't think of what the name of it is right now, and it's in the other room. But it had to do with his traveling around, and it came out like 2 or 3 years ago. So it was really good. Anyway, I really, his is very much more of a lighter, look at it. It was still hard hitting in certain areas, but it was just, this was really eye-opening. Again, I don't know a lot about Turkey, so a lot of that was very interesting, because I don't know much of anything about that country. So that was really, I thought it was really fascinating. So I got that done as well. And then yesterday I finished the last of the ones right now that I've read, which is Archangel Storm, which is book 5 by Nilling Easting. So in the Guilt Hunter series. So yes, I read another one, and I read this all yesterday. This is all I did yesterday. I mean, I did, chores and grocery shopping, and I went out to lunch with my brother and went to the library, like I said. But this I listened to all day. So again, it's book 5. It's excellent. I'm so excited. So right now I'm in the middle of The Lonely City, Adventures in the Art of Being Alone by Olivia Lang. So this is a book that I did pick up a couple years ago going to read, and I just didn't get into it right away. So I got the audiobook. There's a broken record here. Susan Lyons does that, and she does a good job so far. So I'm just over into chapter 4, so I'm not very far. I'm about 33% of the way. So this is following Olivia Lang. It's kind of, the framing device of this is that Olivia Lang was in a relationship, and she was moving to New York City from England, and she was going to have this whole idea of what was going to happen. And then right before she was going to move, he decided, no, we're not doing it. He kind of broke up with her, kind of thing. And so she still went to New York. And so then she's kind of in this kind of hazy, confused place because she doesn't know what she wants to do. And it's kind of following, she looks at loneliness as, the state of mind of being, feeling alone even though there's a lot of people around, kind of thing. And so like she's dealing with different people, like we talked about, Edward Hopper, which is the painter who did that one. The Nighthawks one is the one I always think about, which is the people sitting in the diner at night by the street corner kind of thing. And then she just talked about Andy Warhol in the chapter before this. And then now I'm not sure where we're going to. So she's picked out people who have lived lives that had to dealt with loneliness in different ways. Again, a painter, and now, pop art, from Andy Warhol. And that was kind of interesting. I don't know anything about Andy Warhol, so that was all interesting. So, I didn't know going into this, she was going to pick other people who have dealt with loneliness in different ways, with their art and with other ways of dealing with it. I don't know. I guess I should have guessed because it says the art of being alone. I didn't quite get this, and I bought this like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. I swear I bought this like early on in my booktube buying. So, because I don't remember, when did this come out? Maybe this came out in, well, this came out in 2016. Paperback came out in 2017. So yeah, if I bought this the first year I was in booktube, it's been sitting on my shelf a long time. If not, I bought the year after that because people were talking about it. So anyway, so far enjoying that. So I'm hoping to get that done tomorrow or Tuesday. It matters on how tomorrow goes at work. I'm in the middle of Hunting Season by Shelley Lawrenston. This is like a prequel, kind of, to the Call of Crows series by her. Again, this is paranormal romance. This is following people who are, there's the Ravens who are Odin's, like, I don't know, they're warriors for Odin, Norse god. And then there are the Gathering, which is the crows, who are, is it Skuld? I don't remember how to say that god's name, but if you look it up, it's in there. Anyway, but the point is that they are kind of, they work for the gods, but they're also, they kind of just wreak havoc everywhere. They're just hilarious. These books are just, as I said, they're super funny paranormals where you just laugh because they're crazy. Everybody's over the top and crazy. Anyway, but this one came out before the Call of Crows by like 4 or 5 years. And it's the same world, but it was supposed to be another series. And I think it's just, publishing wise, just didn't work out. I'm pretty sure because this is the I don't know how you say that. The publishing who did this had issues with putting out books at some point, and so it might have been that, but I don't know. She never wrote a second book in The Gathering, but this is the only one that's out. So I've always wanted to read it just because, again, I bought it earlier this year to kind of complete my Shelley Lawrenston books. I think it's the last one of hers that's under this name that I haven't read yet. So that's why I was going to get it done before the end of the year. Her G.A. Aikens are ones I'm going to take on next year, which is her Dragonkin series. But anyway, so this is really fun. The two people are, of course, are very attracted to each other, but they're trying to, you're crows and I'm the ravens. We maybe shouldn't do stuff. She's all like, don't want to do relationships. And he's like, oh, no, we're going to be good together. And he pretty much tries to prove it. But there's also the hunting season is somebody's after them, trying to kill somebody and in one of the crows, and we don't know which one, who it is, who they're after. Very interesting, as I said. It almost makes me want to pick up the Call of Crows trilogy to read afterwards, but I'm going to try to hold off. Maybe I'll reread it next year. I don't know. We'll see. So then I have what I'm going to read this next week. So my buddy read with Tea and All the Books, Sweep in Peace by Alona Andrews. We're going to start this on Monday. We're going to read it for 4 days. That's kind of how it averaged out to, about 72 pages a day. A little bit more on the first day just because of the way the chapters are. Unfortunately, the chapters are longer in this one. So it was so nice in the first book. They're short chapters, but oh well. We're back to the Alona Andrews longer chapters. But we're following, is it Dina or Dinah? D-I-N-A? I don't know. I could say Dina, but it must be Dinah. I don't know. And she owns she's the innkeeper at this inn that caters to people from outer space pretty much. So it's a sci-fi urban fantasy, I would say, because there are werewolves and vampires, but they're all slightly different from what you would think. And again, there's aliens and stuff. And I don't know what this one's about. It doesn't matter. I'm looking forward to this, well, I would say sci-fi urban fantasy. So that's going to start Monday. And then when I finish The Lonely City on audio, then I got to make a decision. So I do have the next Nalini Singh Archangels Legion, which is book 6. That I already have it from the audio from the library ready to go. And I really, really, really want to listen to this. So that could happen right away. But I really, really should read Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson. So The Lost Metal comes out on Tuesday. I haven't read 2 or book 3, The Bands of Mourning, yet. I am number 12 on the wait list of 17 copies, at least of yesterday. So that means I'm probably going to get it sometime next week. I don't think they'll get the books prepared and ready to out until next week. So I'm hoping to get it over Thanksgiving. But that means I still have 2 huge, or, you know, this one's this is like 430, and I think the other one's like 500 pages. So I need to read this, but we'll see. I'm putting this off. I'm almost to the point I should just cancel my hold, because I'm just not getting time. Epic fantasy just is not, even though this is Western kind of mystery, Western mystery kind of fantasy, urban fantasy. I don't know. There's something, this is genre bending. This is book 2 in the Mistborn era 2. Or book 5 overall. I want to read this. I like the characters. I just have not felt in the mood. As I said, I'm really letting my mood kind of just direct where I'm going. And this has been the casualty pretty much, because I've been trying to read this since September. So this is the week. If I can get this done this week, or at least get it started this week, then I will keep my hold to the library, because then I just have to read Bands of Mourning when I get, and then The Lost Metal when I get it. We'll see how this goes. I mean, I might just be reading Sanderson all next week or the week out, the week of Thanksgiving, because I do have that off, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot of writing. I might be doing a lot of Brandon Sanderson, so we'll see. So that's it. Sorry, this is kind of long, but I did finish a lot of things and I did want to talk about them. So anyway, what are you guys doing? How are you reading? How is your reading going? How's your nonfiction November going? Are you like me and inserting a lot of rereads as well as nonfiction? I'm really enjoying this. As I said, with my writing, I'm not reading physically as much because I've been listening to audiobooks at work, but when I get home, an hour to an hour and a half is spent on my computer writing. So I lose that in reading, and then I'm just not really, my brain just kind of goes, I don't really want to read physically very much. And that's always been a give and take for me on when I write, is that my reading always kind of decreases when I'm writing because my brain is engaged differently. So it's not any surprise that my physical reading is a lot lower this month. I'm surprised that I'm enjoying my audiobooks so much because of the last 2 months where I didn't want to use an audiobook at all. Like I tried to read some Victorian literature that way and I wouldn't do it. So I don't know. Weird. Anyway, so how is your guys' reading? What nonfiction have you enjoyed recently? I have stopped myself from picking up so much more nonfiction. I just need to get back into adding more every month. I just need to, at least even just one. I think that's going to be one of my goals for next year. I think I just need to, this year I was so sparse on nonfiction, and after reading all these books the last 2 weeks, I know that I'm missing it, and I just need to get it back into it. But I'm really enjoying my mood reading and rereading a lot of stuff too. So we'll see how it all goes. So anyway, that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.